Hi, and welcome to Carolina Varsity's 2013 Week 11 Review and 12 Preview. I'm Dale Ross.
And I'm the pet man, Matt Hart.
Matt, we'll take a look at the Southwestern 4A. Rocky River is still in first place, but behind them, tied with one, also tied with one, and all these teams are tied with one loss, Rocky River and the following three, Butler, Porter Ridge, Independence.
Right.
But kind of, if you look at head-to-heads and all, it does put Rocky River kind of in first place right now, but that'll be decided this Friday night.
Yes, it will.
East Mecklenburg, Myers Park, and Garinger. And then you have the scores from last week's games.
Yes, I do. Starting with Porter Ridge defeating East Meck 41-13. You know, no real big surprise there. Getting back on track. Independence defeated Rocky River 21-14, and you did attend that one.
It was a good ball game, great atmosphere, really a tight defensive ball game throughout the entire game. Independence scored first, Rocky River matched. Rocky River had a more difficult time offensively scoring the ball, finishing drives. They threw the ball very well. With the long pass. We talked about them, if you remember back early in the season, could they throw the ball?
Yes.
Rocky River can throw the ball. Independence, they came out, lined up in the eye, kind of like what we saw in the Huff game.
Right.
And they had success with it. Their throwing was kind of so-so. Hopkins had several INTs and actually a big play in the ball game that I thought was going to be a huge momentum shift for Rocky River was fourth, and I think it was about 5 or 6 on the Independence on the Rocky River 45-yard line. Independence had the ball, and they went for it instead of punting, and they threw an interception. And Rocky River got a nice return and a nice pass down to the goal line. I put the pictures up if you saw with the kid head cut off. Receiver actually went up nicely for the ball. They scored, kind of made it a ball game. And then Independence, though, was, kind of maintained their lead throughout. The ball game came down to Rocky River getting the ball, Independence getting the ball, scoring, going ahead, and then Rocky River coming right back down and eventually getting the ball down to the 5-yard line, again off of a nice pass play. But they had first and goal at the 5 inside of a minute, and the game ended with them, I believe, on the 10-yard line. Okay. 4 downs, no success. So it was a great ball game. We expected it to be a close ball game.
Yes, we did.
It played close. If those two teams played again, I think it'd be another close ball game. I'd give the edge the next time to Independence, but I would not be surprised to see Rocky River win. The game was that close.
Right. Good deal. And the final game in the conference, Myers Park defeated Garinger 56-6, and there's not much to say about that.
No, it's Garinger, and unfortunately for Garinger, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So I'm looking here, and I see that Hokie had predicted Myers Park by 48. It was
Close.
50. So
Yeah.
way to go, Hokie.
All right.
You did a pretty good job. As far as the playoffs are concerned, okay, I didn't put that down. We know that we'll just have to look at your playoff scenario. We feel that those top 4 teams, Rocky River, Butler, Porter Ridge, and Independence, are all in.
Yeah, they're all pretty much in based off overall wins and conference wins. Right now, it's just a matter of who beats who, and we've got 4 scenarios here for each team, and I won't go through every scenario because it's on the site on the homepage. It's also in the forums under 4A. But really, if you win, you put yourself in a good spot.
That's right.
To be in a higher seed. Basically, if any of those 4 teams win, they're going to be at least the number 2, at the least. And if the right scenario works out for you, you can be number 1 and you can win the conference. Now, there was a discrepancy about 4AA and 4A teams of you know, you go into a different classification if you be
Right.
at number one. And that really would affect more Rocky River and Porter Ridge, because Rocky River's on that 4A, 4AA borderline.
Yep.
And Porter Ridge is definitely going 4A.
Right.
So if it plays out to where Porter Ridge is a number one and say Independence is a number two, then they could possibly both be number one seeds.
Well, they both will need to be tied though.
Right.
So if Porter Ridge wins and Butler wins, they'd both be tied. Butler would be the conference champion because they won the head-to-head.
Correct.
But going into the separate brackets, they would both be number one seeds.
Right.
Exactly. And then if Rocky River wins and Butler wins, the same thing could happen with Rocky River. When I did my projections, they were the last 4AA team.
Okay.
So when I did my little sort, they were the 32nd in ADM.
Wow.
So they're that close, and they're saying that their ADM is about 140 less than it was last year.
Okay.
But that's not an official number, so I didn't use it in projections.
And when we say ADM, that means average daily membership.
Yeah, membership, exactly,
Okay.
your attendance.
Right.
So they usually, they don't take it the first day of school, although there is a first day of school number. They usually take it about a month into the school, so that gives any of the, transferring in or students that families have moved in or whatever, that your population should be settled down by a month.
Right.
So I think they take that number, and it's an average. They take that number after a month.
Right.
So the numbers should be out because we're well past that, but they turned that into a reporting agency, DNP, I think it is. I've got to go, I forget because I don't live that every day, but they turned that into them.
Okay.
They compile the information, then the NCHSAA gets it from them. So
Okay.
we should see those numbers this week, and we would hope we see them early.
Right.
But you're right. And of course, in the wins, you win, you're in a good position. You're
Right.
rooting for somebody to lose. So really, out of all these four teams, you win, you're rooting for another team to lose, you're the conference champion. That's the way it's going to work. You've got
Exactly.
four teams, so there's four different scenarios.
Exactly. And for the rest of the conference, Myers Park can get the 4 wins, but we don't think 4 wins is
No.
going to get it, especially with only 2 conference wins.
That's right. That's going to put you're going to be tied if South Mecklenburg wins. You'll both be tied with 4 wins. South Mecklenburg's conference win percentage is going to be higher than
Right.
Myers Park, so they would go over. And South Mecklenburg was, I think, 5 or 6 teams off of getting in. They were the first 4-win team in the sort, but there were 3 or 4 5-win teams ahead of them. So they still have a shot, but
All right, so the best thing to do is win this week.
Yeah.
And that puts you in a good place, especially in the Southwestern Conference.
that's right. So enjoy your ball games. Real big, 2 real big ball games this week in the Southwestern 4A, and we'll be talking about them. Thanks.